Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an incredible day to start things off. Bitcoin has been recording back-to-back weekly gains ever since its grim plunge in March of this year. On Sunday, the benchmark cryptocurrency fell by 1.8%, but managed to close the week 3.22% higher at 71.30. The move uphill extended a rebound that has boosted Bitcoin's price by more than 85% from its mid-March lows. Bitcoin's latest gains come in sync with similar upside moves in the US stock market, showing the offbeat assets' short-term correlation with traditional equities. Kuya Wang, the head of product at Masari, said in a note that the markets are rising on anticipations that the Federal Reserve will do anything to protect the U.S. economy from 19. As for Bitcoin, the analyst additionally credited stronger retail interest, as well as the upcoming halving event for its market boom. It is quite rare, at least in my eyes, and it is very, especially the last couple of weeks, that we see any major type of optimism. You may see optimism sprinkled around over the last couple of articles that we have gone over. However, you may remember me noticing and saying that there were a huge uptick in the amount of people who, for some reason, thought that the cryptocurrency market was going to continue to decline. However, I was gifted when I woke up this morning to see that nearly all the articles out there were optimism towards the future of the cryptocurrency market. For those of you not looking at the screen, this one says Stellar Lumens price surging and primed to test 6 cents. I wouldn't use the S word. The price isn't surging, it is going up. This one says Bitcoin price analysis. Bitcoin to the US dollar. Stability above the 50 SMA flashes liftoff signals to 8,000 US dollars over the last 4 or 5 days. I'm not exactly sure. I think it was just the movement above 7,000 and the staying above 7,000. An enormous amount of articles, enormous amount of people who think that Bitcoin is poised potentially to retake, retest, retry 8,000 US dollars, if not go above 8,000, trying to hit 9,000. I have seen very few, I've seen very few articles talking about that Bitcoin's going to test 10,000 anytime soon. However, this 7 to 8 to 9,000 is all over the place. This one says Anthony Pompliano predicts a 1,288% Bitcoin bull run. Says global macro fallout will likely push leading crypto higher. This one says Ethereum hesitates, but further gains seem likely towards 200 US dollars. The amount of, you've seen it. You were here. If you were not here the last 4 or 5 days, the number of articles talking optimistically, positively about Ethereum have skyrocketed. No exact idea as to what the exact cause for this is. I don't simply think that people are simply now going, hey, the word Ethereum sounds cool, let's throw some money into that. I assume that it has to be behind the scenes that people have gotten clarification that Ethereum 2.0 is definitely going to launch. And this is why we heard news, or rather we keep seeing the price rising. We had news from the people from Grayscale talking about all the hundreds of millions that were thrown into Ethereum, and also just the other stablecoin news that we've had before. But the Ethereum news is constantly optimistic, and that apparently, relatively soonly, the price is going to try and move above 200. I think it's 180, 179 or something right now. I don't know the exact number. This one says XRP is primed to rally past 20 cents. Here's why. It's relatively similar to all the other articles. It has to kind of do with the basic momentum in the market and how much movement there's going to be and the optimism when things start going back up, and therefore things will go past not their previous prices. Yeah, I guess you can say that, like where they were previously. They're going to re-hit those. This one, for those of you not looking at the screen, it says XRP open market supply is drying up. Will demand push prices, and then the little arrow, higher. This article and a couple of others that I've seen sprinkled around as well are talking about the fact that apparently there are not as many XRP on the open market as there previously were before. It appears that a lot of people are still buying up XRP. What was the news that we had yesterday? Was it eToro? And there was another one before that was talking about like the investor interest in buying XRP over the last couple of months. And along with that, I think the people, they did. The people from Ripple last year were talking about, oh gosh, what was it? That they're not going to be selling as much on the open market anymore, or they've stopped selling on the open market. So now you have to either, I think the only way to get them is to go through you if you have XRP, or through the actual cryptocurrency exchanges. And this is kind of the only way, so they can't buy them at cheaper prices through the actual Ripple company. Also, hello to all of you people out there who came out of the woodworks. I said the word Ripple, I think like 4 times yesterday. Comment section exploded. Tons of people calling me a shill, tons of people calling me a so-and-so. I didn't know this was the XRP channel. Where do you people come from? What rock are you living under? Like, do you just listen to my videos every single day to comb through it to see if I say the letters XRP so that you can write in the comment section? What's going on? What's happening? I mean, I know we're all inside the house, but go outside. If you have a balcony, go on it. Open a window, get some air. The point being, there's a lot of optimism in general around the cryptocurrency market right now. Nothing is effectively being pinpointed as to the exact reasoning for it. It could be a bajillion and one things. It could be simply that people are anticipating the halving. People are anticipating prices to move higher in the short term. It could be that people are optimistic that the stock markets could potentially go up, and therefore that will also drive up demand in the cryptocurrency space as speculative assets then once again have money thrown at them. It could be a lot of things. No one knows for certain. However, there are not many days when we see this much optimism across the cryptocurrency market. I think the only negative thing that I saw, I think it was something about Monero. Don't quote me on that. I think it was about like Monero's price trend hasn't kept up with the other coins. And I think it was also, I think there was a hack on some Ethereum. No, it was an ERC20 token, which runs on top of Ethereum. And one of their smart contracts got hacked. And the article was trying to make it sound like Ethereum got hacked, but it didn't. It was just a smart contract that was from the ERC token that runs on top of Ethereum. So that is, I mean, that was the only negative things I could really find. And then, just to finish this thought off, it says Dow futures fall more than 100 points as U.S. crude prices plunge. So, just a... First, I mean, how do I say this in the nicest way without sounding tinfoil hatty? I feel like the entire oil petrol war that was going on was complete nonsense in the first place. I think they were trying to create demand and or just lower prices to accumulate more for themselves. That's how I feel. The other point being, if you haven't been watching the news, or rather been paying attention to the world for the last 10 weeks, there are a lot less cars on the road. And when there are a lot less cars on the road, a lot less people use or need oil or petrol. And as a result, prices are also falling because of this. And as the prices of those are falling, markets around the world are also going down as well. It's really interesting to see how interconnected the entirety of the world is. If there's one slump in one sector, apparently everything else also has to slump. I'll say it again. I know the world's markets won't be fixed after all this is over, and they'll still continue to run just as terribly as they did before. It would be nice if people learned and simply revamped the system, but we all know that's not going to happen. Even right now, they're just trying to throw money at the same garbage system, economy that we've been dealing with for however long. And the biggest fear that I have is once the economy gets revved up again and prices start going back up, this will all be a distant memory. People will once again continue to believe that everything will be happy and amazing forever, because look how quickly people forgot about 2008 and 2009. This is why the market and stock markets were having that crazy bull run, because people once again think this is going to last forever. Anyway, we'll see how the futures falling affects the cryptocurrency market. It could have no effect at all, but I'm going to assume, just based off of the last couple of weeks and people not really understanding that cryptocurrencies are an uncorrelated market, will be afraid, because I'm pretty sure, once again, people have both their hands in the cookie jar. And yeah, that's going to do it for the price action movement prediction news, if you will. We'll see how the rest of the week ends up going. We are 23 days from Bitcoin's halving, something crazy like that. Anyway, yeah. Let's move on. Next up, in your news that was everywhere news, Hong Kong's securities regulator has approved the jurisdiction's first ever Bitcoin index fund designed for institutional investors. Arano Capital, the blockchain investment arm of asset management firm Venture Smart Asia, has now met the licensing requirements for the Securities and Futures Commission, allowing it to begin dealing in cryptocurrency, according to a report by Bloomberg on Sunday. Within the first 12 months, Arano is hoping to surpass $100 million in total assets under management through a fund tracking Bitcoin prices. The fund marks the first of its kind to have passed regulatory approval on the basis that it solely targets institutional investors. To market to the general public, the fund would have to become an authorized fund under Hong Kong rules. Arano getting the green light potentially paves the way for similar funds to begin filing for licenses in the blockchain-friendly region. Avanish Aquila, Chief Investment Officer at Arano Capital, said that while the firm has received approvals for a Bitcoin fund, he expected opportunities for other products in the future. And I think the other major news, here's the actual article right here. The actual article from Bloomberg that we were just talking about. And apparently, I guess it made really big news. One, because it's the first of its kind in Hong Kong. Congratulations. And the second part being that they're trying to target and or raise $100 million for the fund, which I guess is huge. So yeah, I mean, this was all over the place. Say hello to Hong Kong's first ever cryptocurrency fund. Hong Kong's first regulated Bitcoin fund gets launched. There were about 8 more articles like this. They were sprawled across the wider cryptocurrency news outlet space. They were kind of everywhere. Yeah, of course, it's cool. That's wonderful. That's amazing. Not to even be cynical. Like, I think it's awesome. I think it's actually kind of, I don't want to use the word cool. I think that's a bit too strong for this situation. But there are tons of funds like this launching all over the place. These things were going to get approved eventually at some point, the same exact way that we may not have an approved Bitcoin ETF within the States at the moment. However, at some point, it's going to get passed, and I assume that's going to be some of the largest news on the planet. That's something that should have been approved 6-7 years ago has finally been approved now. And I guess the raising of 100 million to have a Bitcoin fund, which could then potentially have 100 million now equivalent worth of Bitcoin locked up in the fund. Amazing. Yeah, I wonder, I'm pretty sure there are. I'm not going to go through all of them because it would take me years to finish. As far as like I wonder if someone could compile a metric of all the funds that are holding Bitcoin and crypto, because a lot of them, especially the ones that have been regulated, they have to be transparent in some sort of way with their numbers. So I would imagine that an actual accumulation of all of this news and all of this information kind of compiled together as far as all the Bitcoin that Winklevoss, Coinbase, the CEO of Coinbase, Grayscale, all of these things, how many all these funds actually have, would give us a clearer picture of exactly how much Bitcoin is actively circulating, and not held by people and not on exchanges, because the stuff on exchanges is also held by people. Just because it's on an exchange does not mean that they're going to sell it. Anyway, yeah, that is I don't know if that got you riled up, but it sure did for me. I mean, this was everywhere. This was all over the place. I guess it's significant but yeah. Let's move on. Next up, Singapore's tax authority will not Singapore's tax authority will not get a cut or take a cut of airdropped cryptocurrency so long as the recipient gets it for free, according to an income tax treatment guide published on Friday. The Inland Revenue Authority of Singapore's IRA's new e-tax guide published on Friday filled in the tax gaps for so-called digital tokens, a catch-all for the three crypto types: payment tokens used to buy goods and services, utility tokens which represent a good or right to goods and services, and a security token or digital securities. Each has a new definition and corresponding tax requirement from the IRAS. Meant as a guide for consumers and businesses, as well as ICO issuers, the guidance describes a fragmented approach to an industry still coming into form. The tax guide also clarifies procedures for other obscure crypto events. For example, IRAS will not levy income tax against airdropped payment tokens for those that come from a blockchain hard fork, which is a windfall. Like other payment tokens, non-traditionally delivered cryptos will nonetheless be taxable on transactions. On transactions? I mean, if you move them back and forth, they're... IRA's guide considers payment tokens such as Bitcoin to be intangible property instead of legal tender. If a consumer pays in Bitcoin, he is engaging in a barter trade for which the goods and services are taxed, not the payment token itself. The same goes for businesses who can presumably value their goods tax burden against government-issued money metrics. Why the world has to be this difficult, I don't know. I'm going to assume... So, one, cool. I guess the dirty silver lining, I guess, would be that they logically realized or said, thank goodness, that they won't tax airdrops or hard forks. This was a discussion that we had before. This is a very big problem. I believe it's within the States, I think, and many other countries. Part of the problem is that if you own a cryptocurrency, let's say it's 2016, you bought Bitcoin. At some point in 2017, Roger Ver comes skipping along and he decides to make Bcash. He makes Bcash, he forks Bitcoin. You are actually then airdropped, or you receive the equivalent amount of Bcash for the Bitcoin that you had. You're not Roger Ver. You didn't choose to make Bcash, but however, it has fallen into your lap and therefore you have it. Governments around the world are trying to now tax those forked coins and forked tokens that you had nothing to do with, and therefore you now have to pay tax on something that you did not know that you had to pay tax on, that you had nothing to do with. It's one thing to go buy something or to sell something yourself and then to be taxed on it, because that's how taxes usually work. But to receive something that you didn't want to receive and then be taxed on it, especially if you had no idea that you were going to be taxed on it, that's something entirely different. Same exact thing. 2017 and 2018 were very big airdrop years. Those were very big, massive news-taking things, especially for EOS and many other cryptocurrency tokens. These people were creating ICOs and all these other coins on top of these platforms, and they were airdropping the tokens to other people. It was huge. There were tons of airdrops all over the place. Part of the issue is, air quotes, if you happen to own, let's say, 500 EOS, and over the course of a month and a half, there were 30 airdrops, on Binance or any other platform, you would receive 500 of those other airdrops as well. The issue being is that a year later, your tax man came to you and he's like, hey, you received 30 airdrops. No, I didn't. Yeah, we know you did. And now you have to pay taxes on all of those. So this is kind of the... what? Like, why make it so difficult kind of thing? And this is why I said I wish the world was just a bit easier. So not taxing airdrops or hard forks is great, because the other controversy was, let's say, once again, you have Bitcoin and someone creates Bcash. Next year they create BSV. And at some point, like, it's kind of the idea was you could fork a coin maliciously to make sure that other people had to pay taxes on that actual event. So let's say there was a madman and at some point he decided to make 5 new forks of Bitcoin. And then you were required to pay taxes on all of those forks, even though you once again had nothing to do with it. So it's like this, whatever. The point being, crypto, Bitcoin in many countries are seen as property. And I think this is a very interesting way for them to say it's legal, but you can't buy stuff with it. It's legal, but you can cash it out and kind of like get money for it as if you were selling property. but it's still not a means of payment, as it were. I think it's clever. I don't want to. No, I won't even give them that much. I think it's interesting on their part that they decided to phrase it this way. And I still wonder exactly how this is going to play out over the next couple of years as we see, I don't know, more developments on Bitcoin and exactly how it ends up forming. But as of right now, whenever we get news like this, I guess any type of cryptocurrency regulatory news, it always ends up, I mean, this was also all over the place. Good job, Singapore, on doing two things right. But as far as all the other taxation, I mean, I have my own ideas on a lot of those things, but it just kind of is what it is. Anyway, yeah, that's the Singapore kind of smart news. And without further ado, let's move on. And to finish things off, in what actually might be one of the most interesting news stories that we've had in a while, Akoin, that is Akoin, the cryptocurrency project behind the global music star Akon, has secured a deal to become the main cryptocurrency of the $2 billion technology city in Western Kenya. The Mwali Medical and Technology City, or MMTC, is home to over 35,000 people and thousands of businesses, all of which will be using Akoin's Stellar-based cryptocurrency, the company said in a press release shared with Crypto Slate. The Grammy Award-winning artist and producer Akon has secured a major deal for his cryptocurrency project Akoin. We just read all of that. According to a press release shared with Crypto Slate, the company said the Stellar-based coin will become the main currency. Now, this is why I said it's very interesting. Because we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, let's see what happens with it. According to a press release shared with Crypto Slate, the company said the Stellar-based coin will become the main currency of the $2 billion Mwali Medical and Technology City in Western Kenya. This will be the first time Akoin will be used both by the public and on such a large scale. They said Akoin platform will see a minimum of 1 million transactions in the first year in the city and grow to 100 million transactions annually within 5 years. The revolutionary sustainable city where Akoin is being deployed was created by Kenyan inventor. While its economy is currently 100% digital, Akoin will be the first digital currency universally adopted by both its businesses and its residents. I guess here's a little video chat between all of them. Right. Quite fascinating. I assume as time goes on, because whether I want it or not, we keep getting news about Akoin. I find it fascinating that it's developed this much. I find it also a little insane, this is just me, that Bitcoin still has not been adopted by any city, but Akoin gets an entire city to itself. Not knocking it, it is actually pretty cool. It's just kind of a, Bitcoin to Akoin type thing. If I'm not mistaken as well, I'm pretty sure that Akoin has not yet launched. I think it's in development still, I kind of want to say, and I remember something talking about in 5 years they wanted to put it all in someplace, a couple of countries, or have it be like one of the main forms of transacting within Africa. This is what I remember reading. Listen, like I say, I don't know everything. I can't know everything. And even if I try to make fun of Akoin at any point, it's now going to be the main currency of an entire city. So yeah, that's actually, I mean, it's kind of cool. Let's see how this ends up developing. Let's see where this ends up going. Because I sure as heck am surprised that this is going to actually take place. No. It was this city that they're trying to build. Was that it? I think they're also trying to build an entire city that's also just going to be run on blockchain, and I think Akoin will also be the actual currency. But this sounds like something completely different. Like this is an already established city that's also going to be using Akoin as well. Wouldn't that be something in about 5 years? If there are about like 7 countries within Africa that are transacting like even 10% of their transactions exclusively in Akoin, that would shut me up really quick. Anyway, it is kind of cool. I won't even knock it. It's actually quite fascinating, and good for him. Good for him for creating it. He created money, and it's being used and going to be used. Yeah, good for him. as always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. Professor Wally from Gunbot University, Yasha Harari, Moonman High, XRP, The Pothead, Joshua Vineyard, Martin Steuer, Josh Gorsica, Chongololo Tsongololo, A Bibliophobia, The Animal Reader, John Sarson, Nostromo, Bare Bones Mining, Todd Mullis, Adam Graysick, Mohe Maroni, Master Ventures in Thailand, Brady Niels, Jared Schneider, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Adobo, Bankroll Network, Crypto Joe, Crypto Artist, Coldy 3D, Nicholas Runner with One Piece One Love, Damien, Setsuna, Nick Kanaya, Richie Rich III, Vlad the Impaler, Crypto and Beer Shipmate, Paxis, Nick Mangia, Lavori, Anthony Charles, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, Miller Hitch Test Every Day, and Cal Skips Leg Day. Yes to Crypto, Bodie McBoatface, Anytime Fitness, Monk's Corner Staff, Tigger of Machonisa, Bake Me a Cake, Arf Medic 17, On Crypto with Lionel, Crayola Michelle, URL, and hold on, I have to sneeze. Thank you all very, very much for your support. Thank you to everyone who is a member of the channel. And thank you to everyone for your, in general, continued support. It is very much appreciated in these ridiculous times. At the moment, the prices, I don't know what happened over the last 24 hours. I'm not exactly sure. This movement down right here could simply be over the last couple of hours when we got the news of the stock futures dipping based off of the oil petrol news. Who knows what the rest of the day is going to hold? It's actually impossible to say. I remember, if I remember correctly, that apparently today an economy was going to try and reopen once again. We'll see how that turns out. I think obviously that would be a big boost for markets, as it were. Yeah, see, sellers up by 3.84%. I assume it was around 5%. I wouldn't call that a surge, but it was definitely an upurge movement, if you kind of want to say that. Yeah, Zcash is up by 8%. Sure. Yeah. Not really much more that I had to say or wanted to say. I don't think so. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, is it Monday? All the days are blending into each other. It's definitely Monday. Let's see how the rest of the week ends up turning out. I do hope that you all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it's absolutely fantastic. It would be nice to see prices go up. I think that would be quite fantastic, but I tried to remain realistic and just assume that prices will either continue trending sideways, if not dipping a tiny bit. I like to stay, myself, I like to try and stay more realistic and grounded, if you will. As you don't want to get yourself hyped up and then the hype doesn't happen and you kind of, fall into a rut. So, yeah, thank you all once again for watching and or listening. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.